Okay, so I recently picked up the graphic novel The Creep, which was written by John Arcudi, I hope I said his name right, who has worked with Mike Mignola on the BRPD series and is illustrated by Jonathan Case, whose most notable work that I could find is doing the art on that Green River Killer graphic novel from a few years back. It is a mystery story set in the 1980s and also happens to be the saddest graphic novel that I've ever read. The Creep follows Axel Carnes, a private detective who is investigating the suicide of the son of Stephanie Brink, an old flame of his from his college years, as well as the suicide of her son's best friend a few months before, whose mother Laura also plays a big part in the story. Axel has the unfortunate luck to have the medical condition acromegaly, I hope I said that right as well, which is essentially your growth hormones gone haywire, and it plays a sizable part, understandably, in how people interact with him. For those who saw the Rocketeer film, the villain Lothar had such an affliction, as well as the B-movie actor Rondo Hatton, who is the historical basis for Axel, as they both share a physical similarity and backstory, and who many people may recognize as the villain in the 1946 film The Brute Man, that was featured in the 7th season of Mystery Science Theater 3000, what I consider to be one of the greatest shows of all time. Axel is a fairly unhappy man living a fairly unhappy life, meeting fairly unhappy people. Steph and Laura are understandably devastated by the deaths of their sons. Steph's ex-husband is a washed-up car salesman, and her father has had a complete mental break and may know more about what's happened than he is able or willing to tell. The delusions that he has and the flashbacks with him and the boys give many hints as to what triggered his break and the suicides, with some readers possibly being able to correctly guess what has happened, or others, as in my case, only being able to partially figure it out. The best quality about this book, in my opinion, aside from the fantastic art done by Case, is the way that everybody interacts with each other. I soundly agree with Mike Mignola, who along with Joe Lansdale and Greg Rucka offer praise of The Creep on its back cover, in which he says that nobody writes better stories about human beings than John Arcudi. I never really realized that was something this book got right until I read that. There was always just something on the tip of my tongue, an unknown variable that I just couldn't work out, and that was it. The way the characters behave, speak, and interact with one another is just perfect. There's nothing comic booky, pseudo-intellectual, or dialogues and actions that exist purely in the entertainment medium like movies, TV, and comic books, graphic novels, what have you, within this book. This is a story about normal human beings with normal problems, emotions, and circumstances, and that is exactly how everybody acts. There's nothing altogether positive or happy that happens in this book. There are just some things less sad than others, and only one true moment of satisfaction when Axel gets a bit of revenge on a teenage tormentor. There is an overarching feeling of melancholy throughout this entire story, which culminates in an ending that I found to be just helpless. Throughout his investigation, the further Axel gets, the more he hurts those around him, and when he does eventually discover the reason behind the two boys' suicides, the answer will only shatter what little rock the two mothers were holding on to weather it all out. Again, I say this is definitely the saddest graphic novel I've ever read, but I enjoyed every single page of it.